Hey everybody, Griffin Lobster. Happy Easter to you. This is probably not what you were expecting. You probably wanted something more like a Let's Play video. I haven't been getting around to those. I've been working on a couple video ideas for this channel, and I've been working through those ideas, and so I haven't really been posting, but I'll post something soon. Promise. As much as my promises mean anything, which is close to nothing. But anyway, this video is something a little bit different. I thought about doing this video, and I was talking to Dark Mind Sith, and he came up with this idea on his own and told me that I should do it, and I told him, I was thinking the same thing, because that excuse about making video ideas is a real excuse, except for like this past few days. This little game came out on Tuesday, and you probably already know what it is, and it's Bioshock Infinite. And I just wanted to talk through this game a little bit because it's one of those games that I feel requires a lot of mental processing to get through, to get over. And I wanted to talk about it and have a dialogue with some people, both who have and haven't played it, on here without spoilers, without people having to worry about spoilers. So I'm not going to spoil anything. The thing that most people are going to want to talk about is the stuff that's revealed in like the last 20 minutes of the game. And believe me, this is a game you do not want spoiled for you. Just know that there will be no spoilers. I've said it like 1,000 times, but no spoilers. It's just a game that I want to talk about and keep talking about because, honestly, it's just been on my mind since the credits rolled a couple nights ago. And I've just been thinking about it constantly because I loved this game. I mean, it absolutely blew me to pieces. I can't get over how good it was. I'll probably start up a second playthrough right after finishing this video just because I want to get back into that world. And I just want to talk about why I think it's really, really good, and why I think it's worth your time, even if you're not into the series or into first-person shooters. How, if you've never played a Bioshock game before, that feel free to start here, because this is the best of the best. This is the very upper crust of video gaming quality. And, I'm still coming down from my hype from the game. And in a week or so, I'll maybe be able to provide a more lucid evaluation of its quality. But right now, amidst my stupor, having finished the game, I'm going to go ahead and say it's one of the best games I've played. And let's just get right into it. Why do I love it so much? The reason I give, first and foremost, when people ask me, a lot of people have asked me why I like it so much. I like to say that it has enough ideas in it for 5 different games. First of all, you have the world it's set in. I don't know how many trailers you've seen, but it takes place in 1912, and somehow in 1912 they've figured out a way to engineer a floating city above the clouds. This American themed Garden of Eden, and it is just incredibly beautiful. It's full of wonder, discovery. It's brimming with detail. You can tell people slaved over these posters, making them sort of period accurate and having them inform the stories in small, subtle little ways. It's filled with audio diaries, just like the previous Bioshock games, and like System Shock 2 for anyone who's been gaming as long as I have. It's full of these little silent films that you can watch, full of these. It's just brimming with character. It's a game world unlike anything you've ever seen. And after having spent so much time in war-torn Iraq, or neon-themed alien space stations, I think this is a world that will feel incredibly fresh to anyone who's feeling fatigued at all by the stereotypical game worlds of the usual first-person shooter. Usually they're post-apocalyptic or like war-torn or stuff like that. And this world is fantastical but somehow believable. And honestly, you could make a game like Dear Esther where you're just walking around and looking at stuff, and I would probably still really enjoy this game because it's such an interesting world to be in. And that's one idea that could be a game all on its own. But it's also full of these really dark and thought-provoking themes, like issues of extreme racism, and how when patriotism is taken to its very highest, scariest extreme, it becomes like this creepy religion. Like, this is tiny spoiler, but like you near the beginning of the game, you overhear people praying to George Washington and Benjamin Franklin and stuff like that, and that's another idea that could be its own game. And the gameplay itself, the mixture of gunplay with these magical powers called vigors, which are basically this game's version of plasmids from the first Bioshock, that in and of itself could be a game. Just that gameplay element is enough. And then you have the skylines, which are these. They make you feel like a kid in a candy store. You're so happy, and it's this fast. Basically, there are these magnetic rails that all go through the city, and you have this hook, and you can hook onto these and just fly all around. And it's mixed with combat and exploration, and it adds a lot of verticality to the game. And just that alone feels like you're on this. It's roller coasters with guns. How could that go wrong? Plus, there's the overarching themes of multiverse theory and quantum physics. And I know this sounds crazy, right? But you can open these tears to alternate universes where there's like cover here or medkits there, and that could be a game in and of itself. Just that concept. There's a lot of these weird anachronisms, like it takes place in 1912, but you hear this barbershop quartet sing "God Only Knows," a song that wouldn't be written by the Beach Boys for another like 45, 50 years. And all of that, plus the idea of having a highly sophisticated AI companion, which leads me to this game's greatest accomplishment, and that is Elizabeth. Elizabeth, the story of the game is you are sent to Colombia to rescue this girl who's like locked in a tower, and she's the one who has the power to open tears in reality, and her name is Elizabeth. And I don't know, they hit on something very deep with this character. She seems incredibly real despite not looking like the most realistic character I've ever seen. She looks a little bit cartoony, like all the characters in Bioshock games do a little bit. She looks like a Disney princess. That's what people keep bringing up. And her mannerisms signify that too. She's prone to extreme mood shifts. And just seeing her interact with the world. I mean, first of all, she's an incredible companion in battle. She'll throw you, like I said, she can open the tears for you. She'll throw you med kits. She'll throw you ammo. She'll throw you ammo for your vigors, your magical powers. And she'll find you money in the world. She'll point out collectibles in the world, like lockpicks and audio diaries. And that's all really concrete stuff, but just watching her in the world, she'll like sit on a bench or lean against a wall, or like look and investigate something that she finds interesting. She'll like talk to some people in the world, or like try to get their attention. And it's just incredible the amount of time that they must have spent to make her as elegantly designed as they did. And it's the crowning accomplishment of this game. And she is the absolute center of this game's story, which includes deep-seated and difficult questions like, is this white supremacist, creepily religious government in many ways worse than the flip side, which would be like anarchic, revenge-driven uprising? Which one's really better? The first one obviously is full of racism and discrimination, and that's terrible, but the second one is full of war and bloodshed. On a concrete level, which one is worse? They're on completely two different playing fields, but it brings up this question, and it's difficult and it's important. Well, which is better, the freedom of choice or the freedom of not being under pressure to choose? I think that's a really subtle element that they pull off without a hitch in the game. It comes up throughout the narrative, and in this big overarching way that makes sense once you see the end of the game. And then there's the whole multiverse theory thing, which, again, I don't want to get into too much because that's heading into spoiler territory. But let's just say that in and of itself builds up to a conclusion, and builds up to this conclusion. I think the ending is what's going to be remembered the most about this game. The last 20 minutes, it's going to be what people talk about the most because, let me just say, it's one of the most devastating, mind-opening, sad, beautiful, and perfect endings I've seen in a game. It actually is about games themselves. It speaks directly to the player. And I think games that break that fourth wall at just the right time are some of the best narratively. Like last year with Spec Ops: The Line. I freaking loved that game because of the way it talked to the player and made them think more about the game than rather just muscle memory and how you can eat Cheetos and play games efficiently at the same time. It it speaks directly to you, and I think that's very important. And all this platitudinous stuff is all well and good, but it's also an outlandishly fun game. There are elements of exploration. It provides umpteen solutions to the problem of a combat scenario. You have a crazy amount of guns, which are your bread and butter, but you also have these vigors which you can use alone or in tandem with your guns or with each other, and they provide some really interesting combat scenarios. You can open up a tear and bring a turret into combat, or put down a decoy for enemies to shoot at. You can open up a tear and put a skyhook up so you can get some major verticality. Plus, you have the skylines, which adds a whole second layer to. When I'm saying second, like 11th layer to the combat, and it just keeps on. It becomes like this very multi-layered thing in a way that the first Bioshock, also was successful because it provided so many ways to approach combat. And maybe the most beautiful part about this, the fact that it's a game and a great game too, a great fun game, is that thematically it could only work as a game. And I think as you play the game, you'll understand it more. And that's pretty much it. I don't want to go on for too much longer. This is just me basically dumping my emotions I feel on you and trying to avoid spoilers. But let me just say, I'm begging you, check this game out. Rent it if you can, if you don't want to drop the money on it. I know that's kind of prohibitive for people because it's $60 and there's no multiplayer. So how much can you really get out of it? But I promise you, I find it highly unlikely that you'll be disappointed. So yeah, it's a pretty alright game. And that's it. So thanks for watching, and next time I'll come at you with something a little more fun, maybe, than that. So thanks for watching. Bye.